Hi Jack, how's it going? I'm Ronnie. I worked with you today on Thursday, and you started working on fraction problem solving, and some of it's just gonna get maybe a little bit more difficult. So I wanted to make a little video that shows some of the building steps we take to get there. So we're gonna start with this first problem, which is kind of like what you did today. So we take 1/6 plus 5/8. Now, what do 6 and 8 both go into? Because we need to find a common denominator, because you can't add fractions with different denominators, as we talked about earlier. So we're going to have, what's 6 times 8? Well, that's 48, right? So we can have 48 as our common denominator. And we can add them together, and we'd have 48 on the bottom for both. Now, what did we do to the 6 to get to 48? Well, we multiplied by 8. So we have to multiply the top number, which is 1 in our case, by 8. So 8 times 1, we get 8. Now, we have to do the same thing with the second number. We multiplied by 6 for the 8, so we have to multiply 5 times 6, which is 30. So now we got 8 plus 30, we can get 38 over 48 as our fraction. Now, these are both even numbers, so we can divide them both by 2, which would get us to 19 over 24. And that would be your final answer if they ask you to simplify it. If you don't have to simplify it, 38 over 48 works perfectly as well. Okay, so that was just kind of a recap of what we did today. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit so we can work on the second problem. This adds in one more step or one more element. So the first couple steps are pretty similar to what we were already doing. We're going to take 9 times 12, which is 108. I'm just going to write these out. Sorry, that's the part that takes, I feel, the longest in my opinion. And then your third number, you're also going to say something over 108. And that's all going to equal 108 over 108, because 1 is always the number over itself. So 108 divided by 108. So now what did we do to the 9 to get to 108? Well, we multiplied by 12, right? So we're going to say 2 times 12 is 24. Now for the 12, we multiplied by 9. So we're going to say 7 times 9 is 63. Okay, that's great. So our next step here, we're going to add these two numbers together. We're going to say 24 plus 63. Now that's going to get us to 87. Okay, that 87 I'm going to write down over here on the side. Now we want to know how far away we are from 108. Okay, 108 over 108 is our goal, or our like sum. So we're going to do some subtraction. We're going to say, what's 108 minus 87? Well, we know this is going to be 1, and this is going to be 2, so we have 21. So this will get us to 21 over 108, because we're using subtraction. So you use addition in the first half of the problem, and then once you did that addition, you're going to take subtraction. So this is using quite a few different things. And if you need to, you can simplify, but I think you know how to do that. I'm just going to move to the third part of this. Okay, so now we're at number 3. Now I'm going to write it out so that it looks a little bit similar to what you've been doing already. So we have a gym that has soccer balls, tennis balls, and footballs. If 3/10 of them are soccer balls and 2/7 are tennis balls, what part of the total number are footballs? So we're finding a fraction just like the last two problems. So we have 3/10 plus 2/7 plus something equals 1. That's basically what we're doing. So we want to find our common denominator again, which in this case, 10 times 7 will get us 70. So we can add 3 numbers together that are all out of 70. Okay, and then they all equal to something that's 70 over 70, because that's what a fraction that's equal to 1 is. Okay, great. So what did we do to the 10 to get to 70? Well, we multiplied by 7, so we have to do that to the top number. So 3 times 7, we get 21, which is great. Now what did we do to the 7 to get to 70? We multiplied by 10. So 2 times 10, that gets us 20. So you add the first 2 numbers together, and you should get 21 plus 20, which is 41. Okay, I'm going to write this 41 off to the side. And we want to find out how far away is that from a total of 70. We can do 70 minus 41, so subtraction. Remember that that is subtraction. Okay, so we have 29, and if you need, I can go over. We have 10, we borrow, this is 6. That's how we did that. Okay, so you're left with 29 left over. That means this final fraction is going to be 29 here. If you want, I can highlight that. So we have on the screen here, it should be saying 29. I wrote 21. It should be 29, just like we had solved. So yeah, because we're adding the first 2 numbers and then we're subtracting that total, and then we want to find our third number. So you're using multiplication, addition, and subtraction in this type of problem. So remember 3 steps. First, we find our common denominators through multiplication. Then we find what, like, the top numbers have to be. Again, that's more multiplication. Then we're going to do addition with the first 2 numbers, subtraction of the total minus what the first 2 numbers sum was, and there you go. You can do any of these types of problems. And in the future, just play around with different fraction numbers. So instead of 3/10, you could change it to 2/9. And instead of 2/7, you could change it to 5/8, something like that. And then find what that means to equal to 1 whole. So keep practicing, doing some of those, and you've got this in the future. And I'm going to just stop sharing the screen and stop.